So you might wonder how a West Texas panhandle boy ended up in North Dakota. He actually grew up in a small town in the Texas Panhandle and spent a lot of time looking at the sky, both during the daytime and during the nighttime. And his dream was to be an astrophysicist. And then it came time as he was going into college that someone very close to him suggested that maybe you should do something where you can get a job. And so he thought, well, I like to look at the sky, so we'll try meteorology. And then he went over to the University of Oklahoma for some graduate work. So that's how he ended up in our profession, and that's pretty good. So that's part of the story. So then how did he get to North Dakota? Well, looking for a job. So someone mentioned that there was a position open here, and they said, well, go on up to Grand Forks. It's a practice interview, just get some practice on interviewing. And he showed up, and people were showing him around a little bit, but not too much enthusiasm that he could sense. And right at the end of his visit, he ended up in John Odegaard's office for a little 10-minute talk, which turned into a 45-minute talk, which was followed by a phone call back home that said, Kathy, we're moving to North Dakota. So here he is, and it's been to our great benefit that he has been here since 1978 and doing all the wonderful things that he has done.
Thank you. Well, if John D. Odegaard hired Leon, Leon hired me. So I have an experience with UND that goes back no longer than my experience with Leon, because he was on the search committee. In fact, when I came in for that quick fly into Minneapolis, have a 1-hour interview, go back, Leon was sitting right beside me. When we were lucky enough to come back for the visit, the co-chair happened to be out of town, so Leon stepped in for him. And Leon, in many ways, introduced me to the University of North Dakota. And in fact, Leon really represents what I've been fond of talking about this is a place where you reach new frontiers. But coming up with the 511 and inventing new things that were never there before. That's what a university is supposed to do. That's what our star professors in a university are supposed to do. Leon will always be remembered as one of those star professors and be fond in our heart. I would just say I have my good friend, former Congressman Pomeroy, with me here today. Another affinity I feel with Leon is that back in Congress, being in the Transportation Committee, they used to call me Mark 212 Kennedy for all my attention to this particular highway in Minnesota. And I'll always remember Leon as Leon 511 Osborne. We're proud to have you as a part of the University of North Dakota. In many ways, we are a better university because you accepted that offer from John D. Odegaard, and it's entirely appropriate that we are honoring you here today. Thank you.
The title, A Lifetime of Impact, hits it right on, because Leon has provided so much impact over the years that it's unbelievable. I wrote in the little memoirs as far as the book that's going around, as far as consummate professor. And certainly Leon is a consummate professor, and he's had an impact in his teaching, research, and service. Thank you, Leon, for your teaching, research, and service. It is truly outstanding, and it was so gratifying when you were selected Chester Fritz Distinguished Professor here at the University of North Dakota. Thank you so much.
Leon and I have been together for a long time. We've been around for a long time, a really long time. And I can just remember the first time I met him. It was a really cold, I think it was a really cold December evening, and I can just still see him when he walked through the doors of our home with his pretty wife, Kathy. And here was this young ambitious scientist with this infectious smile. And he was coming to our home, and probably coming because he was going to attend one of John's famous Tom and Jerry Christmas parties. I think that was why. And Leon even reminded me the other evening that the punch was pretty darn good. Those were the days when everything was new. But it was a very exciting time. And when Leon and I were visiting the other night, Leon recalled these times working with John as magical times. And much of that time was spent going to Washington to meet with our congressional delegation. While they were in Washington, they were always working with a wonderful friend of UND, Sarah Garland, who was our UND lobbyist at that time, working with her group was the Greystone Group, and she and Leon worked together a lot. Her comment to me was, it was a perfect storm in the best possible meaning of the term. It was John, Leon, Tom Clifford, and a congressional delegation that had the clout and the courage to fund new ideas, cutting-edge ideas. So in our discussion together the other night, it was just so much fun to remember all these things. Now, Leon, I really want to thank you for standing by John and for being with him, having his back, and for doing all those impossible things that he asked you to do. Some of them were probably pretty crazy. Now, I mentioned Sarah, and Sarah would have loved to have been here tonight. She couldn't, but she sent me a little note that she would like me to read. So this is from Sarah. Genuine, smart, kind, caring, enthusiastic, generous, inventive. These are words that come to mind when I think of Leon Osborne. Other words that come to mind were the ones uttered by government officials of the highest order. I don't give a damn what the National Weather Service says. Call Leon Osborne and find out what's going on. Leon, you are a gift to all, students, university colleagues, family, friends, and the regular guy driving down the road, not knowing what may lie ahead. I loved working with you, your ideas, and your cherubic smile. Thank you, Leon, for being a good friend and for all the superb work you have done on behalf of UND. Sarah Garland. That says it all.